my Sparkle Sisters. Happy Winning Wednesday. So glad that you are joining us today. Oh my goodness. So next week will be the week we'll wonder if Facebook is going to let us live stream. We cannot wait to figure out what is going on. And y'all know we are all about, do you love these tennis shoes or what? Obviously, they don't get a lot of workout, but there we go. It is time to tie up our tennis shoes and it is time to run out of the land of the lazy. Now, the cool part is I can talk about lazy people because they're not on this call. They said that they were going to be on the call, but then they forgot and then they overslept and then they got caught in that scroll hole. And so then they're like, oh, I'll just go back and watch the recording. But we know what happens is they never do. So I get to be very real. And really the reason we want to talk about the land of the lazy. And then we'll be talking about the maze of mediocrity. And then, of course, we're going to really hang out and spend time in the elite land of excellence. Is that my prayer for y'all on this is that you are going to be able to recognize some of your friends. And, you know, one of the things that I feel like is such a big deal is for us to recognize who's in our inner circle, because we've talked about this before, the plus and the minuses, and that you do become like who you hang out with. So I want to see who else on here. So really quick, if you will, put your name, where you're from. I know that we all loved Stacey James last week, didn't we? Oh my gosh, it was so good. There were several thousand that watched. Marcy, you're the first one again on here. Lori, yay, so glad that you're on. So good thing is I've got this up so I can see who all is kind of hanging out with us. And, you know, one of the things that I talk about in the book is that every morning as human beings, we get up and there are 3 doors that we could check. So you got like door number 1, door number 2, door number 3. And every morning we wake up and we can say, good morning, God, here's my pom-poms. I am ready for today. Or you can wake up and say, good God, is morning, right? And it is your choice. You know, one of the things, and y'all hear me talk about this all the time, is, you know, every night before we go to bed, you know, Tom's like, I know, you got to hurry. I'm like, I know, I got to hurry and go to sleep because I cannot wait to get up the next day just to see what's going to happen. And y'all, that is a choice. It's not that everything in my life is great. It is not. I'm still recovering from that darn, you know, I think I told y'all this. I was speaking at an event and like this whole bank of chairs just like pancaked me. So I've been walking around with feel like a knife in my ribs, and it's so funny because y'all know I think y'all know me well enough now that I am really working on my language. I love colorful language, you know, but sometimes like dirty words come out. And I really try not to, but yesterday it was so funny. I was texting this person. I was texting. It was really happy, and out of nowhere I sneezed, and it like really hurt. So if you've ever had like a tear in your ribs or like bruised ribs, it is really painful. So it came out of nowhere and I didn't realize, you know, how you have your thing on your phone and is that, oh my God, Fuck. Oh my gosh. Oh, I probably shouldn't have spelled that out. So there you go. Now I probably get kicked off of Facebook. But that's what I had on this text. And I was just getting ready to click it and praise the Lord. So you can say that word and praise the Lord. That I stopped it. I was like, because it came out of nowhere. And so, you know, I think that, you know, it is a choice. Like I'm always looking for a funny thing. Amy Jones is one of my dear friends. And, you know, in our world, we talk about having a beauty chat. And she was just doing this auto thing. And she was just really working with all these guests. And it came up as booty chat. And this one gal says, no, I don't think I'm interested. And so how many of y'all have had funny text things like that? Like it just comes out weird. Like y'all can type those in. How many of y'all have had some crazy ones? Good morning, Virginia and Beth and Mary Beth. I just got phone with you. I'm so glad that you are on here. Hi, Tina. I'm glad you're hanging out with us. So today we're going to talk about getting out of the land of the lazy. And I thought it might be fun to. I was just really just praying about, you know, what could we share about, you know, as we go through this. And I think a lot of times when people see those of us who are at the top of our game, you just think we've always been a winner. We've always made all the right choices. Well, obviously, you know, I got to be careful with my words. So there's that. But it was so funny. I came across this story that is my story. And this is so funny. This is what I named it. Like I was so mad at myself, but it was called Loser Lessons and Glory Story. So I don't know if any of y'all can relate to this, but one of the trips that the company sent us on, was to Beijing, China. And it was really cool. We got to have our 50th anniversary there. And in fact, my friend Karen Piro got to pray in the name of Jesus there at the Hall of the People, which is really unheard of. Not sure we got permission for that, but that's what we did. But also, one of the things is that the company rented out like these 13 turrets, you know, on the Great Wall, for us to be on there. And then they said they had a picnic at the bottom. So here's one of the things, and many of y'all have heard the story of, you know, it's important that you know how far you're going. Well, so we get on this Great Wall, and it is unbelievable. Like it's really amazing. But about halfway through, you're like, well, how many more do I have to go? They didn't tell us how many there was. And so I stopped because it was getting dark. And Tom did not go with me on this trip because he's like, I'm not flying that far. And so I was with my girlfriends, and there was a group of us that we had walked and walked and walked and walked and walked and walked. And one person is like, I'm going back because if it's dark, I don't see good enough. And so I jumped on that because I'm like, oh, well, I need to help you. I need to help you because I really didn't want to walk anymore. And I didn't want to walk down in there. And what happened was my championship self, I went into loser mode, like just the land of the lazy. And so here were my loser lessons. Okay. So this is what I learned because I was a loser, because just so you know, I only had like, it was less than 10 minutes to reach the top and reach the summit, but I didn't know that. So my girlfriends that went on right there, they have these glory stories from the top that I did not get to see. So hopefully, I don't know what you got going on in your life, but if you get to where you're just like ready to quit, don't. So here's my loser lessons. If my lessons is that I did only one section at a time. I did not visualize what it would be at the top. Number two, I went further than I thought. I was trying to give myself some atta girls, but it still wasn't enough. In other words, the summit, the view, the win required more than I thought. And on this particular day, and it has not happened since, I was not willing to do the and then some, do what is required and then some. So, hey, Lori and Laura and Lalisa, so glad you're joining us. Hi, darling. I stopped at 13, the prize, or at 11, the prize was at 13. Because I took advice from people that I would not want to trade places with. And that was the crew that I was with that walked down the mountain less than 10 minutes from the top. And it was so funny, even as I was walking down, like I knew I was going to regret it. So then I started the blame game. Well, I should have done this, or I should have gone earlier, or, you know, maybe I should have gotten with a different group, like just whine. Somebody should offer me some cheese with that wine. I did not even look back. Like once I turned, like I didn't even look back. Like I was so mad at myself. And I just thought, well, I'm just going to buy the t-shirt. And I'm like, well, I can't do that. I'm a woman of my word. And then it does coming up that going up with my friends was faster and easier, especially with the champions. But coming down was by myself. And so then it was like that. That's why I call it my loser lessons. It was like this walk of shame. And so that day, I made a promise to myself. I would never stop until I finished what I said. Now, when I got back down, and then my girlfriends, Julianne Nagel, they were led by her, and I know I should always follow her. But the stories that came from the glory of being okay if it was a little dark. It was okay that we didn't know how much further, but they did. This was what they learned, is that they laughed about that. And they said, nobody told me it was the great, great stair of China. It's not really a wall, it's all stairs. And they were laughing around all of that. And the way that they got to the top is that they saw people going faster, but they just kept going. They stayed in motion. So a lot of the people that I passed on the way up, they continued going, right? Because I ran out of steam. And so there's a lot of times in your life, you just need to keep going, just step by step by step. The cheering and celebration was so worth it because they made it all the way. They all got to celebrate. They all got to have a picture. They all went to the summit. That the secrets at the top, there were some things that like, they were not telling anybody. You had to be able to get here. And one of the gals was able to experience that with her dad. And the thing that we talked about two things on this, that the middle was the hardest part. The middle was where you have this conversation with yourself. Is it worth it? Should I push through? Well, I'm going to go down because that's safer and that's good. And so that the battle is going on. And my Sparkle sisters, this is what's going on for your dream. This is what's going on for your dream. And I just want you to understand that if you will just stay in motion, just stay in motion, because the city of regret is not where you want to be hanging out. I'm going to close with that today. Would love to know, what are you kind of hearing on this? So Sarah, hi, Liz, Terry, Kirsten, I'm glad you're joining us today. So how many of you all, just kind of raise your hand or type in there, you have a loser lesson, like you gave up on something before? Right? You tried something, it didn't work. Who's ever had that happen to them? Well, I'm going to tell you, if you're not really careful, you could take that experience. Okay. That's what this one is all about. This chapter 6, that's what this is all about, is that you can take a loser lesson or a bonehead choice or an unhealthy season of your life. And if you're not really careful, that it will change your identity. When you go to lead, you would be like, people, they wouldn't lead me if they knew really who I was. They wouldn't really follow me if they realized how inadequate I was. I'm not deserving of that because I did this thing. I did this thing. I said this. I did those things there. And so what I want you all to think about is, what is, and y'all know this is what I've been about ever since we've started up this conversation. What is your yeah, but? Your yeah, but. And, you know, our little yeah, but dog, let me show you. Here's our little yeah, but dog right here. So this is the one that we talk about. I've shown this to y'all before, but this is your yeah, but. And so this is you're ready for this. And then you start, oh no, well, I can't do it. I can't do it. And then what happens is this, watch it. See, he's just chasing his butt. That's all he's doing, just chasing his butt. And if we're not really careful, we're just going to chase our butt. Yeah, but I quit. Yeah, but I stopped short. Yeah, but I made this decision. Yeah, but. Yo, we got to get rid of our yeah, buts. And so you want to be able to get rid of that. So that what happens is that when you're presented for a redemption story, okay, it's redeeming, it's redemptive, you've got another opportunity, you would be brave enough, maybe not to go all in, but you could take the next step. As long as that story keeps going on in your mind, every morning when you get up, you are going to, believe it or not, no matter what you think, you are going to choose the land of the lazy. And the reason that we know that is, in the land of lazy, this is, I'm just reading from the book here, it says the land of the lazy is a world filled of guilt and frustration and doubt and discouragement. Creative avoidance runs rampant here. You'll hear a lot of, I'll do that, it can't be done, I'll do that whenever I'm married or I have kids, it can't be done because we got lint in our belly button, basically, is what's going on. It doesn't take much to distract, dissuade, or discourage this group of underachievers. In the land of the lazy, I'm a gonna do this, I'm a gonna is the queen bee here. Another name for this place is someday I'll, someday I'll do this and someday I'll do that. And then you wake up one day and you're 60 years old and, or something's happened in your health or something's going on or something happens and then you don't have that opportunity. They are only excited, the people who are hanging out here, those that are driven by that guilt, that shame, that frustration of something that's going on. What happens is that they're only interested in making an impact when it's exciting. In other words, they're great starters, right? That was me on the Great Wall of China. I was a great starter. That's great. That is, I can do this. So, and many of you all have set goals, right? In our world, we're 80 days out from our end of the year. You made a commitment to yourself. What does that look like? You can always tell a woman, a leader, men or women, this is really just for women, but you can always tell I'll just say this, when I'm working with someone and they have shifted out of find a way, make a way, or I'm finding an excuse for everything. They are living in their yeah buts. Their body language is different. They move from serving. In other words, like when they first started growing, it was about how does this serve others? How does it impact others? And then what happens is that that flashlight, y'all know this, like on a phone, your flashlight is only whenever it is open, right? The flashlight to mark your path. So when you turn that on, that means it can't be flipped around and looked at you. Like if you're going to take a picture, it's on somebody else. So you have your flash on and I'm taking this picture, it's of you. When you turn it around, your flash doesn't work. Does it? Maybe some of the newer phones, but mine don't. So you don't have a flashlight when you're taking a picture of yourself. And that's the same thing in serving. Like there's your vision. It's a light for others to follow because it's all about them. When you turn it around and it's about you, it starts to lock up. That happens when that second conversation starts to flow. I tried this before. It didn't work. I don't know how it's going to work. I quit. I'm not worthy. All of those things. You can tell they're not committed because when things get complicated or uncomfortable, they quit. Now, they may not look like they're quitting, but they've quit in their head. And one of the things that I've really discovered in the last 5 years or so is that I see people that are interested in moving ahead or making an impact or starting a business or whatever that is, going into nonprofit ministry, they're interested. And then there is a group, that's a lot of the people. Then you've got a smaller group who is committed. In other words, I'm committed to this. I'm going to make this happen, but they're only going to do it while it feels good. And they might do it a little bit in the middle, right? The messy middle, like Crystal Gardner talks about, like the messy middle. But it takes a very rare group that is convicted. In other words, I'm convicted. Come heck or high water, I'm doing this. I'm making it to the top. I'm not looking left. I'm not looking right. I am going to do what I said I'm going to do. I'm going to keep the promises that I made to myself for sure. And that when you're waking up and you're in that, yeah, but I can't. Yeah, but this isn't the right time. Yeah, but the economy. Yeah, but the political system. Yeah, but I live here. Yeah, but my color of my skin, that yeah, but starts to take over. And you get up in that morning and you walk through that door. You've still got 2 doors. You got the same 2 doors everybody else does. The mediocrity, which we want to stay away from, but the land of excellence. So in the middle of the land of lazy, it is called the pond of procrastination. That's what I call it. And they're just in there. They're just floating around and they're telling stories and they're gossiping and they're making excuses and they don't tithe, they don't give money away because they're buried in debt and blah, 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 blah. I know it doesn't sound like y'all, or maybe it was at another time, but we know people that are there. And as I was writing the book, the thing that really came to mind was really kind of a mantra for me, because I hear this all the time. It's like, I'm not disciplined enough. Well, I got a discipline problem. And y'all listen to me. Look at 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 me. You do not have a discipline problem. What I know to be true is that when passion and purpose are present, discipline is never a problem. When passion and purpose are present, discipline is never a problem. So if you're getting up and in your business or your nonprofit or your ministry, it takes an act of whatever to do the mundane. Andy Stanley, in his book Visioneering, which is one of my favorite books, he talks about the power of passion. And in that, he talks about putting sand in a bag is monotonous and it's backbreaking and it's sweaty and you're not going to do it for long. But if you are putting sand in a bag to save a house or to save a town, you've got all the energy in the world. It's the same activity. It doesn't change. It still breaks your back. It's still hot. It's still heavy. It's still not fun, but you're doing it for the purpose of serving someone else. My question to you is what you're being called to do. How does it serve others? Is that how you want to be known? Someone who's a great seller or someone who serves great? Do you want to be known as a great leader? You're out there leading in the front, put the spotlight on me, right? We call those celebrity leaders, but we also have what's called legacy leaders, and legacy leaders is more concerned in who that person is becoming on the way to the top. You don't have to give that up, but how do you serve them? And so my question to you is sometimes you got to go back and do a reset. Why did I start this business? Why did I set this? And to understand that a title, right? A title and a position will never change your life. I say that to people all the time in our business. I say to them, look, this position of whatever you're going for will not change your life. What it does do is it unlocks additional streams of income. It unlocks greater influence because you've got more people that you can work with. It unlocks your impact because you have the credibility for people to follow you. So what happens is that we spend our whole life trying to get a position, but that position, you can say it this way: profit, position, and gosh, I've only said that 100 times. So it's profit, position, and somebody needs to type that in there. There's 3 things that motivate people, but we'll stay on our eyes. Okay. And then it'll hit me tonight around 3 o'clock in the morning. So when you're working your business and you feel like I'm not getting anywhere, but I feel like I'm putting in all this time, you could be floating around in the pond of procrastination because of that filter of, I tried this before and it didn't work. Okay. Whenever I wrote this book, it took me 3 years to write the book, but in reality, it only took 6 months. Whenever I realized why I needed to get this done. And there was a deadline that I was working on. As soon as the why crystallized, I did it all. So my question to you is, I'm going to have y'all this, you're with family on here. What is one project you've been putting off? What is the one thing that is it writing a book? Is it writing a song? Is it starting a ministry? Is it stepping up, in our world? Is it stepping up to a greater position of influence? Is it getting out of debt? Is it learning another language? What is it? What is the one project that you are called to do? Okay. That that when you are on your deathbed, that is going to be regret. You're going to regret that more than any of the no's or the people who quit or all that stuff. You're not going to remember any of those people. I can tell you, whenever I'm on the stage, I don't think about anybody that quits. It doesn't mean that I don't love them, doesn't mean I don't believe in them, doesn't mean that I don't care for them, but I can tell you, I do not think of not one person that quit on their dreams. They don't quit on me. They don't quit on Mary Kay. They quit on themselves. That I can live with that as long as you can. My question is that when you have a calling is a stirring. You're supposed to do this. And for me, for my book that we're going through now, I had to clarify my purpose. My purpose was for the generations in my family. This really is a love letter to our future generations, for me and my family. And those are all the people that are under my voice. Because then the why was, this is why I want to be able to do it. I couldn't do it to be a bestseller. For me, that wasn't my calling. But some of you all, a lot of you all, are called to write a bestseller. Okay. I'm called for Inner Circle. And so I've done well, but I haven't done all that I know that I need to do. It's kind of like I'm at 11, right? I'm at that 11th turret. I could retire right now if I want to. It would look great. It's all good. But that's not where I'm called. Called for 13, called for here. Where are you called? Where are you justifying? Oh, this is okay. This job's okay. No, it's not. Because if it was okay, you wouldn't have had the thought to make the change. There was something stirring, okay? The last thing that I want to talk about in here is talking about the difference between being a victim and a victor, okay? To give you an idea, and I probably say this every time, the erase and replace, here it is, right on here. Is when you find yourself, again, waking up. Y'all are doing such a great job. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. What is the project? What is the goal that you know? You cannot live by not accomplishing this, right? And it doesn't matter you've tried it 100 times before. It doesn't matter that you have nobody around you has done it. One of the things I said to Crystal Gardner one time, she had moved from New York down to Soddy Daisy, Tennessee. Quite the culture shock. And she was told by everybody, you can't do this here. You can't do this here. You can't do this here. And I remember her calling me and she was just at her wit's end. She's been our number one forever. But at that time, she was the last director. She was the lowest producing director in our area. And she said, I was never called to be this number. I'm called to be here. I'm called to lead people. I'm called to serve people. I have a story that will save people so much angst. And she said, but I don't see anybody doing it here. I have no evidence. And y'all, seriously, like while she was talking, I was just praying. And I'm just like, but Crystal, what if you're supposed to be the evidence? My Sparkle Sisters, what if it is you that is supposed to be the evidence to your next generation in your family or friends or whoever is in under your voice? What if you breaking through and sticking with it until it breaks? What if it is you to show how to get out of debt? What if it is you that is supposed to be the evidence to get out of poverty? What if it is you that is supposed to break the chains of racism? You speak a different tone. What if it is you that is supposed to be the first to come to know Jesus and your whole generation changes? What if it is you that is supposed to be the first one to do what? What is it? What is it that when you were a little girl that you had a thought that you were supposed to do something? As you got older, it was there. But then there was the series of those turrets that we talked about on the Great Wall. And it just got harder and harder and harder. And it started thinning out. And it looked so much easier to give up or to go back. And what I'm telling you is the city of regret is so, it is not where you want to go. I'm going to read this poem here. And so when you find yourself, how do you know that thought, I'm not worthy, I'm enough, I haven't tried it, I haven't done it, I've been in too long, I'm too old, whatever that is not just a thought now it's a filter. So even when you get a new idea or you go to an event, you feel inspired or motivated, within 72 hours, you're right back because you didn't change your filter, right? You've got to change your filter. Yes, I am called to this. No, I don't know how to do this, but yes, I am called to this. Yes, I will do this. Yes, I will do it because it will serve other people. Yes, I will. Type that in. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. I was not put on this earth to hang out in the land of the lazy or meander in the maze of mediocrity. I was put on this earth to make a difference in the lives of other people. So I'm not too busy. I'm so blessed to be in demand. I'm not overwhelmed. I'm abundantly blessed. It's not if they quit, right? The whole story isn't written. I can't say no. And you'll just say, you know what? This is not my best season. What are the things that you'll want to be able to do? And what happens is whenever you're like, okay, I'm going to do this, not to prove. And that's what I did because of some choices I made whenever I was younger. I had this need to prove and not to serve. And it was exhausting. Okay. So I want to stir your soul. I want to awaken your God-ordained dreams. Did you know that there are people in your family and your community and all over the world waiting on you to quit being a part of the problem? You don't know whose dreams are attached to yours. And so this was written by Larry Harper. I want you to listen to this, okay? Because I hope your soul was stirred today. He says, leaving the city of regret. And this is what we're doing today, right? Y'all type that in, leaving the city of regret. Here he says, I had not really planned on taking a trip this time of year, and yet I found myself packing rather hurriedly. This trip was going to be unpleasant, and I knew in advance it was no real good that was going to come of it. I was taking my annual guilt trip. Okay. I got my tickets to fly there on Wish I Had Airlines. It was an extremely short flight. I got my baggage, which I could not check. I chose to carry it myself because that's how I do it. I was way down with 1,000 memories of what might have been. No one greeted me as I entered the terminal to the Regret City International Airport. I say international because people from all over the world come here to this dismal town for their annual guilt trip. As I checked into the last resort hotel, I noticed that they would be hosting the year's most important event, the annual pity party. What? I wasn't going to miss this great social occasion. Many of the town's leading citizens would be there. First, there was the Dunn family, should have done, would have done, could have done. And then there was the I had family, the old wish I had and his clan. Of course, opportunities, present, missed, lost. And of course, the biggest family were the yesterdays. There were far too many of them to count, but each one would have a very sad story to share. Then shattered dreams would surely make an appearance, and it's their fault, would regale us with stories, which are really excuses, on how they had failed in their life. Each story would be applauded. Oh my gosh, I don't blame me, and I couldn't help it. Well, to make a very long story short, I went to this depressing party knowing that there would be no real benefit. And as usual, I became very depressed, very anxious. And as I thought about all the stories that brought back from the past, it occurred to me, type that in, it occurred to me that the remainder of this trip and subsequent pity parties could be canceled by me. I could cancel these. I started to realize that I did not have to be there. I did not have to be depressed. Can I get an amen? Right? Type in amen, right? Can I get an amen? One thing that kept coming to mind is I can't change yesterday, but I do have the power to make today a wonderful day. I can be happy and joyful and fulfilled and encouraged, as well as being encouraged. Knowing this, I left the city of regret immediately. I left no forwarding address. I'm sorry for the mistakes I made. Yes, I am, but there's no physical way for me to undo it. So if you are planning a trip to the city of regret, please cancel all your reservations right now. Instead, take a trip to Starting Again. Starting Again. Y'all type that in. Starting Again. I liked it so much that I've taken up permanent residence there. My neighbors, that I forgive myself. The new starts are very helpful. And by the way, you don't have to carry around any heavy baggage because the load is lifted from your shoulders upon arrival. God bless you for finding this great town. If you can find it, it's in your own heart. Please look me up because I live on I Can Do It Now streets. Sparkle Sisters, this is your time, right? Let's not look back. Let's look forward. You can, you will, you must, you will do it with no excuses, no drama, no fear, no tears. There are people out there waiting for you to be obedient in that conviction, in that calling. The story that you are going to tell will change the world. And together we are too blessed to be stressed, too anointed to be disappointed, too equipped to be whipped. Have a miracle-filled week. I'll see you back next week so we figure out how to avoid the maze of mediocrity. Bye-bye, y'all.